background?
My personal education background, I actually was a student at Langara College and did my 2 years of kinesiology study here. Then I went on to University of British Columbia, complete my degree studies, and then finished my master's degree, and was able to come back to Langara, go into faculty, and then eventually moved into administration, and now into this role of Dean of International Education for the last 3 years. So I've been very fortunate that Langara has played an important role in my life.
Well, I also went to Langara for a semester, and then I went on to University to Toronto, finished my Bachelor of Commerce there, and I'm currently completing my Master's in Education and Higher Education Administration from University of Toronto. So both of us are students that were eventually, we were students here at one point and now transitioned into the staff.
So, what is your main passion about this career?
For me personally, I just enjoy being in higher education. You have an opportunity to influence and make difference in people's lives, young people's lives. You get to shape the next generation of individuals and our global citizens. And as we all know, the world's becoming smaller. So there's this education institution allows that integration to take place, and it's probably an obligation of higher education to help develop that next generation of global citizens. So it's kind of that passion that continues to drive it. With respect to international education, I've only been in it 3 years. Ruminder's been in it longer than I have, but one of the greatest commonalities you find amongst all students that are international students, they're remarkable individuals because they leave countries behind, they leave family behind, they come here, some people for the very first time, and they have to take on this obligation of not only getting an education, but they carry the dreams of their parents and their family members. So they're extremely remarkable people, and it's that kind of passion that continues to drive me to help Langara be successful in international education.
Very similar to what Ajay's mentioned. Education for most families is one of the more central things in terms of their development. And me being on the front line in many cases where I go abroad, I talk to family members, they share their dreams, they share their children's dreams, and the fact that Canada has excellent education system, that they're able to then choose a school like Langara that not only helps them with kind of finding out where they want to go in terms of in the first 2 years of college they can take a selection of courses, then also the transfer programs that we have to various universities. So as AJ mentioned, it's the whole world has become smaller, and the fact that education is becoming more global, we at Langara, we're part of that global education.
What type of school is Langara College?
Historically, Langara College has primarily been a university transfer institute where both domestic and international students come here to do 2 years of university studies and then go on to complete their degree. Many of them go on to University of British Columbia. We're the highest transfer institute there. We're the second highest assignment for his university. But lately, or over the last few years, students have been going all across the country. The student mobility piece is really important, and so students will end up at University of Toronto, Dalhousie University, McGill, University of Alberta. So the students are using Langara as a platform to be able to move on and further their education.
Helpful?
Yeah, Langara provides that. Because we're an open access institute, we provide a platform for the student to come in and integrate themselves into university studies, but our small classes, our neighborhood campus environment, our personalized services that we provide, not only have international education, but in general through services for the college, is of value, plus the integration piece and the culturalization piece. Because then when they do move on to the bigger universities, they're much more well equipped to be able to be successful at completing the studies. And all the data shows, from British Columbia anyway, students that move on from college to university are just as successful as students who just start at university. So again, I think Langara provides that excellent platform for students to move on to.
So when and where was the original Langara College open?
So Langara College was originally part of Vancouver Community College, and it had 3 campuses: downtown Vancouver, King Edward Vancouver Community College, and then there was Langara campus. In 1994, Langara separated from Vancouver Community College and became an independent college. So our history extends back to 1970, but as an independent, standalone college, it's been since 1994. This campus has been here for over 40 years, and as you can see, it's surrounded by a wonderful neighborhood. We finished building a library building a few years back. We're now building a science and technology building. So those opportunities. give us an opportunity to grow in the city of Vancouver, but still provide a nice environment for students to come in and integrate themselves for success.
How many international students are in our college?
We have, in our regular academic studies, we have about 1,700 students this semester, of which about 40 to 45 are Indonesian students.
Okay.
We then have another 500 to 550 students in our ESL programming. So we have a very healthy student population with international representation. How many total students we have in this semester? Probably very close to 7,000 students in academic studies. And then ESL is part of our continuing studies program, which caters to the community, probably another 10, 11,000 students there.
In terms of Indonesian students, are they like growing as well in terms of number?
Well, yeah, I mean, Indonesia is our 6th source country of students from overseas, so it's definitely in our top 7. It's a market that we're really taking a targeted focus to. We're doing we're doing at least 2 visits a year to the market. We're participating in high school visits along with the Canadian Education Fairs. We want to brand ourselves more with the high schools. So there's a couple of high schools that in my last visit as well, did a presentation to the grade 11 and 12 class. And the fact that Vancouver is a very sought after destination in Canada in terms of students that want to come abroad. We have some excellent benefits that we can offer at Langara. Many of the students do want to go on to university, so it's a very strong and healthy university transfer market. In terms of students, we find most of our students will come from the big cities, Jakarta and Surabaya, but we're also getting more and more inquiries from Bandung and other provinces in Sumatra and even Bali. So hopefully I can go to Bali someday to do some recruitment, right?
Well, we know there's an Indonesian organization here in Langara. So what do you know about Garuda?
Garuda, well, it's a humanoid that was the god of Vishnu. But no, I think this year, especially with the leadership of Ari and the group this year, has actually been very active.
Okay.
The club is growing, and there's a nice community on campus. I know they're also reaching out to the UBC Student Association, the Indonesian Student Association at UBC, so there's a little bit more cross-campus activities as well. So not as only exclusive, but I think in the next year it's also going to grow even more so.
So what do you think about the Indonesian student in general? What are their strengths?
Me going overseas, looking at the transcripts, a lot of students, especially in the sciences, math, I find that they're quite strong, they're quite diligent students. A lot of them are looking for a 4-year bachelor degree. And also the strength of the family support. At a lot of the fairs, just not individuals come, they come with families, and the fact that the whole family is involved in helping with the process to support both financial and personal, I think, gives that strength to the student in terms of performance.
Does Langara College have an affiliation with local high schools in Indonesia? I guess you answered that question.
Yeah, there's a couple of schools that we do visit. Bina Bangsa School is one in Jakarta. It's a school that we regularly visit. St. Louis School in Surabaya. And then there's a couple of other schools that are with US and British curriculums that we, on occasion have visited as well. But the first 2 that I mentioned are regular visits that we do. And they're both excellent schools in both their cities.
So do you travel to reach your prospective students, like in Indonesia?
Yeah. We travel, typically do recruitment trips twice a year. And it's simultaneous with the Canada Education Fair circuit that happens. So the Canadian schools will go collectively and promote Canadian education. And then I will also do individual visits to high schools, and we have some strategic partners that we work with, agents, that we do joint seminars with. So that's typically the recruitment.
So how do they find you besides the schools? Is the fair?
The fair, and also our agent partners will do promotions through social media, through advertisements in newspapers. And the agents are very active in Indonesia, so we use their networks to promote.
So there's an existing office there for Langara?
Not an existing office, but we do have strategic partners that, again, host seminars for parents, and also they'll do one-on-one sessions with students as well.
So while you're there, what kind of information and process that you provide to them?
Yeah, it will really come down to what the individual goals are. I mean, typically the students will have an idea in their mind of what they want to study. then they'll ask, if it's say computer science, they may ask what's the difference between an associate degree and a diploma, and if they have a particular goal of transferring, they may have a university in mind. So, we sit with them individually, we provide the information on the program, then also, what courses are required in the first year. We help support them in their application process, so how to submit the application, what documents are required. We have a very easy process here at Langara for international students. We accept scanned copies, and then if students need direct support, our marketing assistant or myself, we follow up with the students individually and their family members.
Very nice. How do you support the current international students?
We have a host of support services that we offer through our student services department.
Okay.
We put on workshops. We have a Langara Plus program where students can develop themselves both in joining social activities on campus, but they're also how to be an effective test taker, or how to ensure that time is managed in terms of study time and also personal time. We have a learning commons in the library that provides tutoring services, so students can go there, get free services from their peers in various different subject areas.
We also have our student clubs, so
yeah.
there's those opportunities. So it's really a small campus, and I go back to the smaller class sizes. The faculty at Langara College are teaching faculty, they're not research faculty, so their responsibility is to ensure that they help those students in the classroom so that they can be successful, so that they can move on to university studies or complete degrees or whatever they wish to pursue.
So what happens to the international student after they graduate?
Most international students, once they're done here, like I said, many of them come for university studies, will go on to university. I mentioned number one transfer institute to UBC and number two to Simon Fraser, both in complete student members but also international students. So the students will go on and finish their degrees. They'll typically do 2 years of study and then transfer over. As I mentioned earlier, beyond UBC and Simon Fraser University, there's other universities in British Columbia, but the students have now figured out they can actually go to other universities across Canada. And one of the things that we're hoping to do at Langara College, because of our university studies opportunities, that we're going to start trying to partner up with some universities in the United States, and so we hope that's what the future will look like for Langara.
Do you guys have like a practicum kind of program?
A number of our courses have practicum elements to it, so it can be in the form of a co-op, or they can actually be embedded in the program as an internship or a work experience. So it really depends on what options the student chooses, or what pathway. So if it's just a straight out science, they will probably just do the coursework and move on. Whereas if it's something more applied, there may be a co-op like recreation leadership. Computer science has some applied pieces or work experience. So
they engage with the actual professional.
Yeah, they're actually put out into the community to do some of the work.
Okay.
They might do some training on campus, but the actual semester is off campus. The student is taken through a process of where they, if it's co-op, for example, they'll learn how to write a resume, they'll need to learn how to do an interview and all that, and then they'll be asked to go and find that placement with some support from so there's that. But there are some programs where practicum is embedded, meaning we actually have the placements, we tell the students these are the placements. So we've got some various opportunities. And then Ruminder mentioned our Langara Plus program. Beyond that, we have Volt at the Institute, which is a program where students can come and find volunteer opportunities and community opportunities to be engaged. And it ranges from some basic things that you might do once a week, something like that, to something that you can commit much more time to provide some diversity for the students.
Give us 3 reasons why parents from abroad should send their children to Langara College.
Well, my opinion, and I'm sure women may have this, I think number one, Langara, the place. We're in Vancouver, we're a prime destination. The climate, the living environment is wonderful, and if you just look around, the weather is great as well. But I think the most important thing for parents is the safety and security of their sons and daughters, and Vancouver provides that opportunity, and Langara provides a quality education for that particular place. Second reason is the programs. I mean, we have over 62 different departments, so a student in general will find many of the programs that they're looking for, particularly the international students, because they are here for degree studies, and because we're that premier pathway for degree studies, I think they'll find a program, and if they don't, we will try and help them find one. And then the final one is the people that are actually on campus here. People like Ruminder, or the rest of our team, the faculty, the student services that are available to everybody. Langara is just a wonderful place. Both of us said we've been here. Our camera person's been there as well. So Langara has a lot of ties to the community, and I think those are probably the three main reasons I think people want to come to Langara College.
And just, Langara's record of success. I mean, every 5 years, the British Columbia Council of Admissions and Transfer does a report on the most successful colleges in terms of students that, transfer from college to university. And, Langara is really in a league of its own. As Ajay mentioned, we're the top transfer college to UBC, second to SFU, but also to colleges in Ontario, and more students that are choosing the US. I mean, just last semester there was a student, international student that was applying to University of Chicago. So the mobility factor of our students and the fact that we've been successful in preparing these students, I think, sets Langara in really have a league of its own.
What do you see Canada in the future with the growing numbers of immigrants?
I think Canada has decided that we need to grow our population, and education is probably the best way to grow it for a couple of reasons. Number one, individuals that are educated in Canada make wonderful immigrants to come back to Canada and become permanent residents and contribute to the Canadian economy and Canadian society. But number two, some individuals don't come back, they go return to their home country. And so those individuals take the Canadian experience and the Canadian context back to their home country. And when we talked earlier about helping students become the future global citizens, these individuals, as they rise in the ranks, as they grow their careers, they'll have this connection to Canada, which will help with trade, with economic development, with just simple social causes that will affect us in the future, and some things we may have to tackle as a global society, not necessarily as Canada. So I think Canada has picked that way, and to be honest with you, I think that's one of the things many other countries are looking at. I was at a meeting with our premier, and one of the things she said that really stuck to me in my head is that Canada has taken under this amazing experiment in terms of bringing humanity from all parts of the world together, and to see how it works. So we're a small country numbers-wise, but we're very large space-wise. So it'll be interesting. So I think Canada's taken a very positive approach, and using international students to become future immigrants bodes well for us.
And just the opportunities for international students in Canada in comparison to other Western countries. The fact that they can work off campus for 20 hours, they can work 40 hours during the semester breaks, and they're able to apply for postgraduate work permits when they finish their studies. That's not an opportunity that a lot of countries provide, and fortunately Canada has taken on that role of providing those opportunities for international students. So that's what really, I think, sets Canada apart from other countries. Terima kasih.
I won't even try that, but thank you very much. And again, one of our motto here is we invite the world one student at a time. So we certainly invite any students from Indonesia and parents to look at Langara as an option for their son or daughters to come and have